Well, good morning again, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, purposeful coach and speaker in the world. I do not have a clue what happened with that first video this morning, so I'm going to redoes it today. This is the first time in almost 2 years of making a daily video that I've had something go crazy, funky, weird, and wild, so I'll make this one quick today. I love to joke. Possibility thinking for dummies. Do y'all remember when those books came out that said, you know, Microsoft for dummies, computers for dummies, Quicken for dummies? It wasn't trying to put anybody down. It was a clever title to take potentially complicated information and break it down so that an average dude like me could figure it out. So we're going to talk about possibility thinking for dummies, or big thinking in my world, and I'm going to just make it really quick. For years and years and years, I discovered in hiring people that part of the process of growth was the failure of making massive mistakes on a regular basis. After I went through my 17th assistant in 15 years, my beautiful wife pointed out to me that the common denominator in all those failed relationships was this guy right here, Steve Collins. It was a leadership issue. It wasn't an assistant issue. So I had some real thinking to do. So when you go through that many failures or failed relationships of any kind, one of the things you come to discover very quickly is if you choose to look at it through a positive light, which that's how I choose to look at life, how can I flip this to a positive? What you realize is that last failed relationship has now given you more clarity on what you intend to have in the current relationship or the current environment or the current situation. Failure is simply feedback that says that's not what I was hoping for. Now I'm more clear on what I want. So what does that mean? That means my hiring process, which used to take 15 hours following Keller Williams' career visioning 12, 15 years ago, has now been boiled down to about a 6-hour process. That's about 3 2-hour interviews, getting incredible clarity on determining whether or not we're going to be a good match to work together. So what is most important to me and what is a non-negotiable? The most important thing to me for those who work around me and with me on the Collins Group or in the coaching program is simply this: possibility thinking. Possibility thinking. We are not trained to automatically hear an idea or a thought that seems impossible and gravitate towards the possibilities. We are trained and taught and educated to gravitate towards the excuses of why and how it cannot work. Why and how it cannot work. I've heard recently that there's 2 types of people, 2 types of thinking: the know why people and the yes how people. The know why people will say, well, no, we can't do that, and here's why. And the yes how will say, yes, we can do that, and let's figure out how. Okay, so 1, by the way, is natural. 1 requires discipline and training. It's natural to think, no, this is why we can't do it. And it takes training and discipline to determine how you're going to choose to show up and say, yes, this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to give you one of the tools that we use on the Collins Group and in the coaching program to make sure that we step out of negative association and that we step into possibility thinking. And it's simply this: when I ask anybody on my teams to do something, or I'd like to do this, or let's figure out a way to do that, if you want to get fired, you must say, well, we can't do that, or well, that can't be done. Those are my 2 non-negotiables. That is like strike 1, you're out, I'm finding somebody else to work with. It's that important to me to not have any block in the way that I think or we think on our team, because there's always a possibility. So here's how I've trained those around me and myself first and foremost to step into possibility thinking, and this is the gift I'm going to give you today for free. And it's simply this: when you are faced with a thought or an idea or a project, let your first thought be, when it hits you and you're tempted to say it can't be done, it's impossible, it's ridiculous, ask yourself this one question: if I had a $1 billion budget, could this be accomplished? If I had a $1 billion budget, could this be accomplished? And what you will soon discover is that your limitation is a limitation of not acknowledging abundant resources that an amazing Heavenly Father has given to this planet. Do you think that there's a shortage of money? You're right. Do you think there's a shortage of love? You're right. Do you think there's a shortage of forgiveness? You're right. Do you think there's a shortage of air? You're right. What you think? That's your reality. Do I think there's a shortage of money in this earth? No way, buddy. It's everywhere. Do I think there's a shortage of love? Not at all. It's abundant. Do I think there's a shortage of any type of major resources? I truly don't. I choose to think differently. And when you think with abundance, now you can think possibility. Let me give you a for instance. If I was to sell someone on my team, I'd like to create a room with a 15-foot tall by 15-foot wide screen that would have up to 1,000 little boxes with the faces of the coaches that I'm coaching that I could interact with on a daily basis. They can all hear me. I can't hear them. You can be over here and you can be over here, and we can be answering questions that they type in, and yet I'll be able to see their faces. They'll be able to see mine. We'll have live interaction daily. If you'd like to be fired, say, well, we can't do that, or well, that can't be done, or that technology does not exist. Well, let me ask you this. If you had $1 million budget, could you hire somebody to create this technology? And the answer is a resounding yes, you could. So, next time you are faced with a situation that you are tempted to look at through lack, and you are tempted to look at through impossibility, remember my words today. Ask yourself this question. If I had $1 billion budget, would this be a possibility? And guess what? The good Lord can give you the wisdom to creatively come up with a resource that might not cost you a single penny. That might not cost you a dime. Because now you are unlocking your aforementioned unlimited resource of your thinking and thought process that you may have shut down by saying it can't be done. You want to think big? Think possibility. You want to think possibility? Think $1 billion budget. You want to think huge? Think abundance and not lack. Love y'all. I hope that helps somebody today. Have a great one.